morning, everyone. Um, just about lunchtime here in British Columbia. Just wanted to make, I'll try and keep it short video um, on what is happening with this fake news meme. So I wanted to provide a list of where I get my information from, and just leading up to who I found on the internet. Um, to get my information from was the fact that I got rid of cable television a minimum of 15 years ago, because I discovered then, and of course we're on December 11th here, 2016, I realized back then that everything on cable television had become insulting. The news had become insulting to my intelligence. The programming had become insulting to my intelligence. The commercials had become insulting to my intelligence. TV had become absolute junk as far as I'm concerned. I still ask once in a while people that I work with, people I know, how much does cable cost these days? I don't even know what cable television costs anymore. They would give me the price and say, yeah, I got 400 channels and it's all junk. And so a couple of times I ask people, well, then what do you have it for? What are you spending your money on this for? And it's kind of frightening that people would say on more than one occasion, just about every time, people would say, well, we get it for the kids. And I'm just thinking about it. It seems to me that's kind of like saying, well, my wife and I are going to have for supper, we're going to have some chicken breasts and some steamed veggies and maybe a little wild rice on the side. Oh yeah, what are the kids having? Oh, they're going to have a bag of chips. I mean, if you don't control what goes in your mind, someone else will. And that is definitely how the corporate cable news media operates. They are trying to control what goes in your mind. So the idea that if fake news is on the internet, no, fake news is not on the internet. The fake news is the legacy corporate news media that you're getting off your cable TV. The description on the channel that I've just started is that I give speculative opinions on what is going on in current events. I do it because this is my way of talking to people. A lot of people shy away from this kind of subject matter. It makes them nervous. But there's no time like the present when it comes to trying to discover what's really going on. Anyway, I give speculative opinions about what I think is going on. I'm in no way trying to deceive anybody. I think that I have a much better idea of what's going on by getting my information off the internet with independent researchers. So anyway, here's a quick list. These are not necessarily in order of preference, but there's a couple I'll point out that are, I think, astounding places to get information from on the internet. The top of the list for me is Stefan Molyneux at Free Domain Radio. Really thought-provoking, very much based on empirical evidence and facts. Don't show up at Free Domain Radio if you want ear candy, or eye candy for that matter. But Stefan Molyneux, Free Domain Radio, excellent stuff. Also Mike Rivero on whatreallyhappened.com, great stuff. Mike Rivero is a real trooper, giving real news all the time. Greg Hunter, USA Watchdog, again, brilliant stuff. TF Metal's report for me for economic news is second to none. InfoWars and his whole team there with a kind of special note to Paul Joseph Watson and Millie Weaver, Millennial Millie. I really like the work that she's doing out in the field. I think it's tremendous. I just watched her do a production where she was interviewing people on the street about fake news, and it was really interesting because when she asked people if the government should have the ability to get rid of fake news, pretty much everybody agreed. But toward the end of the interview, she was basically asking the same question in a different way, which was that should the government have the right to stop people from saying what they want to say? And it was somewhat heartening to see that people were saying no, because that impinges on your right to free speech. Well, you can't have it both ways. There is no way to have it both ways. So the idea that the government should be able to go out there and somehow stop fake news is complete rubbish. It's impossible. It's a tactic to get rid of free speech. It's that simple. We've seen it in history before. McIlvaney report, they do a great job. You're getting real information on what's going on in the economy with these people. Same with Greg Hunter, does a lot of economic news as well. He's got gentlemen like Dr. Paul Craig Roberts on there. You're not going to get a more learned, wise, and honest person, I don't think, than Dr. Paul Craig Roberts on the internet. So McIlvaney report, SGT report is a little bit more edgy, but there's still lots of great information out there on SGT report. Zero Hedge, just up to date, minute to minute news all the time on just about everything you could think of. Bit of a slant toward economics and politics, geopolitics, but pretty much everything on Zero Hedge. Mark Dice for those short, concise, and sometimes are quite often humorous insights into what is going on in the real world. X22 report, X22 report Spotlight, actually it's called. That's where this individual, sorry, his name escapes me, the gentleman that runs that website, YouTube channel, is, he does one-to-one interviews. Lionel Nation cracks me up. He's comical. He's got a great take on current events. Massive vocabulary, and he likes to show it off. So Lionel Nation is actually very good. Bill Whittle has some good stuff on there. He's a frequent guest of Stefan Molyneux, as a matter of fact. Same with Mike Cernovich. He does his own independent research and journalism. He's a frequent guest on Stefan Molyneux as well. That's some of the people that I get my information from, so that you have some idea of why I'm piecing things together the way that I am. But this big push to accuse people in the independent media of pushing fake news is no question, simply because the corporate legacy news media is absolutely terrified. You'd think that they would do something to try to elevate themselves, but no, it's beyond doubling down. They're going to instead try to knock others in the independent media instead of elevating themselves. So it's kind of, I'm looking at it as if they're quintupling down. I mean, they started out by betting on Hillary Clinton, which was a bad bet in the first place. They doubled down after the DNC stole the primaries, handed it to Hillary Clinton, and that was proven after the DNC leaks. Then they tripled down by claiming that it was the Russians that hacked the DNC emails as opposed to a leak internally. Then they quadrupled down after Hillary did a faceplant into the street, couldn't keep her own body weight in a vertical format. Then they quadrupled down on fake polls, and no one believed them. They still lost. And they know that they're collapsing. I mean, they've come out and admitted that they were biased in a number of areas. They are now pushing to have rules put in place by the government to stop people from saying what they want to say on the internet regarding what is going on out there. And I don't think they're going to be successful. I mean, we have to remember that Donald Trump is getting in there now. And I think anything that they may push to try to limit people's free speech on the internet, I think somehow, one way or another, is going to be reversed by Trump. I think it's one thing that Hillary Clinton got right, is that the internet news took away her victory for the president of the United States. And that's not because people were faking news out there. That's not because people were lying. It's because the truth was getting out. I mean, somebody on the street videoing Hillary Clinton completely collapsing is not some great conspiracy taking place of fake news. All of us now have cameras on our phones. Um, how did they really think they were going to keep this stuff a secret? How are you going to keep it a secret when Hillary Clinton's doing a faceplant and people have to catch her before she smashes her head open on the pavement? I mean, so it got caught and it went through the media. So the truth is getting out there. Perfect example of the fake news coming out of the corporate media. I mean, Mike Cernovich and Paul Joseph Watson were speculating as to whether or not, does Hillary look ill? She doesn't look well. Something seems to be wrong. She's having coughing fits. And what did we see in the corporate media? CNN, NBC, MSNBC, all of these corporate shills coming out and literally accusing Paul Joseph Watson and Mike Cernovich of creating conspiracy theories regarding Hillary's health. And what happens? Bam, she does a face plant. Right? I mean, one of the main goals of a human being after they're born is, unless you're sleeping, to remain upright. And she couldn't do it. And, I would urge, although I know there's a lot of people that won't do it, I would urge people to get rid of your cable. Get rid of your cable TV. It's I know that there's some programs that you can get out there that are good, and comedy is good for the heart, good for the mind. But there's ways of finding this stuff now. You don't need cable. If you let your cable provider know that you're not buying cable anymore, you're not keeping your subscription because you don't like the news that's coming out on it, something will happen. Something will change. They won't be able to create the laws in the United States to stop people from getting their information freely. It's not going to happen. I know they're going to try. Or I shouldn't say I know they're going to try. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to try. But I don't think it's going to happen, especially with Trump getting in office. Trump is still out there tweeting. I mean, you'll notice on the bought and paid for 60 Minutes, one of the biggest questions that the lady host had there, which I haven't seen 60 Minutes in years. I can't believe this woman is still on there. I mean, put the old gal out to pasture. She's just really good at repeating whatever her bosses tell her to repeat, asking the questions her bosses tell her to ask. And what's one of her biggest concerns is Donald Trump going to keep tweeting? Is he going to continue to use Twitter? Like, what is your big concern if Donald Trump is using Twitter or not? And then accusing him of not being very presidential for doing so. It's just blatantly obvious here, folks, that they don't want Donald Trump to have a straight path to the people that support him and the public at large. They don't want him to have that. They want to be the gatekeepers of information so they can destroy information when they want. They can accentuate information when they want. They can twist it and spin it whatever way they want. It's just blatantly obvious. So anyway, I wanted you guys to understand where I'm getting my information from. That's the nature of this video, is just to give people an idea where I get my information from. So if you are kind enough to join me, you can see why I'm speculating the way that I am on what the current events are and what may be unfolding in the future. So thanks for taking the time for this short video, guys. We'll see you again.